Hey, what's up y'all? It's Jodo Jake and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about an exciting strategy for Pokemon card collecting that I like to call the value leap. This strategy is all about finding those hidden gems, those undervalued cards that could potentially go up over time, and using those cards to leverage high-end cards that may seem unobtainable because of their price point. Whether you're brand new or a seasoned collector, I believe that this strategy is for everyone and that this strategy can help you unlock some serious potential for your collection and your collection goals. And you can do it without spending a fraction of what the market cost is on these high-end cards. So let's get right into it. What exactly is the value leap? Well, to be honest, it's kind of a straightforward yet powerful concept. Instead of spending thousands and thousands on that high rarity chase card that you've been wanting to add to your graded card collection, you look elsewhere. Instead, you focus on identifying cards that may be undervalued with untapped growth potential. Take the PSA 10 Umbreon VMAX from Evolving Skies, for example. Check eBay or TCG Player, and you can see that this card is constantly hitting new record highs. As this continues, it starts to get bleak. You start to lose hope that you can obtain this card in your collection as it feels more and more unobtainable. And what if I told you there was a way to acquire some of these big chase cards like the Umbreon VMAX and do it at a fraction of the market price? And the secret is simple. It lies in staying ahead of the curve and taking educated or speculative risk on cards that you think are undervalued, those that haven't yet caught mainstream attention or hold strong potential as demand grows or market trends shift. Now, let me be clear, this strategy is not a win every time. However, I have successfully applied this countless times in the hobby. And if you prioritize immersing yourself in this hobby over trying to time the market, you can absolutely make this work for you too. Here's the kicker. When these cards are graded and demand spikes, their value can leap, offering a solid return on your investment. But when you uncover cards that are severely undervalued before the market catches on, those leaps can transform into monumental vaults, delivering game-changing opportunities for your collection. Let me show you a real example. Take this Alakazam from 151. A raw card in minty condition could only cost around $35 to $40 in the current market. Now let's say you decide to submit it for grading and it comes back a PSA 10. The value has now jumped from $35 to $40 to $170 to $180 in a PSA 10. Now let's make sure to factor in the grading cost, and we'll say around $20. So you're in on that card at around $60. That's a 200% gain. And this is great, don't get me wrong, but your buy-in on that card is the same as if anyone else were to currently do that right now. So what if you were looking at this card over the past summer and you decided to make this play? This card was only selling for around $20 to $25 raw, and it was only selling for around $80 to $90 in a PSA 10. Well, let's say you made a speculative play, you bought 6 of them, graded them, they all came back PSA 10s, and you held them into this market. You went from having around 6 cards that were around $270 in value to 1,080 after they've been graded as 10s. Well, that's a 350% gain. Now you can potentially sell or trade for one of those big chase cards like this one, for example, the Giratina V from Lost Origin. Now that's what I call a classic value leap. Okay, you're probably wondering, how am I supposed to do that? How am I supposed to find these hidden gems, these cards that are undervalued, that are just gonna rocket to the moon? To be honest, I don't have the answer to that. I'm not a guru, I don't have a crystal ball, but what I can provide are some tips and kind of show you my thought process when I'm looking at these cards that I believe in, that I think that have potential growth opportunity in the future. So let's just jump back into that Alakazam EX example from 151. Well, my first tip is to look for nostalgia. You want to look at cards or Pokemon that are really going to resonate with fans. You want to look at the starters, the legendaries, or other popular Pokemon that often gain value. Alakazam is a Gen 1 Pokemon, so let's just start there. Alakazam could be considered a fan favorite amongst collectors. Alakazam has been a staple in the Pokemon TCG since the beginning. It's literally the first card in base set. And it should be known that Alakazam has had some epic high rarity artwork over the years, and any real Alakazam collector is going to want to have this card in their collection. My second tip is to do a rarity check and assess the set if applicable. Cards with limited print runs or unique promos that tell a story or have some sort of unique release to the public. We're not talking about this dude. That was a mess. But it tells a good story. And even set cards that have really difficult pull rates like secret rares and alternate arts. Alakazam EX is an SIR or special illustration rare from Scarlet and Violet's 151 set. For those that don't know, 151 is one of the greatest modern sets we've seen over the last few years. May I dare say it's one of the greatest sets over the last decade. It is a set that has a well-defined set identity and that is important in the Pokemon hobby. I'll actually be making a video on the importance of set identity in a future video, so look out for that. My third tip is to assess the condition. If you're looking to make a similar play as this example and you're looking at raw cards degrade in PSA 10, you want to be certain that the cards that you're buying are more likely to hit PSA 10. So you want to make sure that these cards have clean edges and corners, absolutely no whitening. You want to make sure that they have proper centering on the front and back, and that the surfaces have no flaws, no print lines, no scuffs, no scratches, zero. If you're grading cards, specifically ultra modern cards, meaning you're looking at cards that came out in the last 3 to 6 months, you can afford to be more selective about the cards that you purchase for the intention of grading. I say this because that 3 to 6 month window after a set's release is typically when the market is flooded with singles, and you're able to be more selective and filter through those cards to find cards that have a better chance of being mint and PSA 10 worthy. When it came to these Alakazam EX cards, I had the advantage of assessing their condition in person at local card shops and card shows, a practice I highly recommend. Unlike buying on platforms like eBay or TCG Player, where photos can be misleading, poorly lit, or low quality, seeing the cards up close allows you to accurately evaluate whether they have the potential to grade as a PSA 10. Oh yes, don't worry, yes, I have a how I pre-grade video coming out in the near future, so if you want to see that, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button, let's get back to the video. So my fourth and last tip is study market trends. You want to use tools like eBay, TCG Player, Pokedata.io, price charting, there's like endless tools that you can use to track past sales, get a pulse on the market on these cards that you're looking to snipe that you see as undervalued plays. Now, when I was looking at the Alakazam EX over the summer, I was comparing it to other cards of the same caliber in the set from 151, as well as also looking at the sealed 151 product. Now, as far as singles go, I was looking at the big three, the starters. I was looking at Venusaur, Charizard, and the best one, Blastoise. I said what I said. All of these cards were selling for around $50 plus, and the Charizard being the most expensive raw at around $110 to $120 at the time. When I was making the decision to buy multiple copies of this card, I was considering the nostalgia of Alakazam. Like I said earlier, he was literally the first holo in base set. And I thought about the rarity, because this can't just be any card that's really easy to pull. The special illustration rares are some of the highest rarity in 151. I also had to think about how difficult it would be to find these cards raw in mint condition. And 151 had been out for almost a year, and I knew that the market was going to be in a good place where I could find these cards and source them locally at card shows or card shops, and I could actually look at these cards in person before I purchase, which is really important because it allowed me to take less risk when looking for these cards that I wanted to grade in PSA 10, so I can build up confidence that what I'm submitting has a high likelihood of PSA 10ing. One other thing I wanted to consider was the price point of the card compared to a 151 sealed product like the booster bundles. And the reason why I wanted to compare it to booster bundles in particular is because I believe that the booster bundle market price can give you a sense of the popularity of a holiday set, whereas booster boxes can give you an indicator of the popularity of a mainline set. Now, booster bundles from 151 were selling for around $40 to $50 depending on who and where you got them from. So as I kept looking at the Alakazam and comparing it to these singles and this 151 product, it just hit me. If I could pick up one of the biggest hits from a set at half the price of a booster bundle, it was a no-brainer. It just felt natural. It felt like a low risk, high potential buy for the future. Even if I got lucky and I pulled one from a 6-pack booster bundle, there's no guarantee that it's a gradable copy. Scarlet and Violet is notoriously known for having print quality issues out of the pack, whether it's white dots, bad edges, or print lines. Like, we've seen it all, and to me, it just felt like a no-brainer to be able to buy the card outright instead of taking that risk. And this brings me to a very important factor. There are risks, and there is no guarantee that this strategy will work. There's a lot of uncertainties with grading. Not all the cards that you submit for grading are going to get the grade that you are hoping for. Whether it's BGS, PSA, CGC, all of these companies are inconsistent. They make plenty of mistakes. They're graded by people, unless you're tag. Disclaimer, no shade to tag. I think that competition in the grading card company space is important, and they all make mistakes, and the important part is that they learn from these mistakes. I may have got all PSA 10s with this example, but I promise you that's not always the case. I take L's all the time. I'm humbled in this hobby all of the time. And I think that's important because I think overconfidence in this hobby can be very dangerous. So if you're new to grading, I highly recommend you watch a few videos of the process, get an idea of what to look for when these companies are grading your cards. Just send a small batch of cards. Send a test group, like send cards that you feel confident are gonna PSA 10, and maybe even send some pseudo cards that you think that may have some weird edge or corner or even print lines, and see what they grade as, because honestly, you might be surprised with the results. I promise to make a ton of videos on grading and my experiences with grading. Please stay tuned for that. And the other risk factor I really want people to be aware of is market fluctuation. There is just as many cards that go up that will go down. Now, there is an alternate reality, a multiverse of possibilities where 151 got reprinted the way it did in Japan. I could have bought that card at $25 and it could have tanked down to $10, $5. Who knows? That reality isn't the reality we lived in, but I have lived it with other experiences in this hobby. And I want to make sure that you guys are aware of those risks. You can do this with any card. You can do this with $5 cards. You can do this with dollar cards. And the important part of what I'm trying to say is you want to make sure that you're assessing your risk and keeping your spending down. If a card goes down, hold it, because you never know if it goes back up. There have been times where that's happened too. So just keep that in mind going forward, and being aware of your risk is really crucial. Now that I got the risk out of the way and I've noted that I've had a few failures with this strategy, I think it's important that you know that I've had more good experiences with this strategy than bad. As you can see with this Alakazam EX example, it was a great buy. Absolutely can't be more proud of myself for just making the call and trusting my gut, because right now I currently do not own the Twilight Masquerade Special Illustration Rare Greninja EX, this one here, and that card's going for around $650 to $700. Now, I can take 4 of the Alakazams from what I graded, sell them, and make around enough to buy that Greninja. And I'm only in on those cards at around $160. This is one of the main ways that I grow my collection, and I hope that it helps you too. Now I want to hear from you. Have you had any Value Leap success stories? Drop a comment below and let me know what your best finds were this year. And if you're new, let me know what cards you're eyeing. It's okay if you don't want to. I know you gotta hold these to your chest until you take action, so I totally get it. My biggest goal for this YouTube channel is to build a community of savvy collectors that help one another. So if you ever have questions, please leave a comment. I'll make sure to get back to you. And if you want to follow me on my Instagram, DM me anytime. My DMs are always open, and I'll make sure to get back to you as soon as I can. YouTube is currently oversaturated with Pokemon investing content, and I really want to make sure that this channel is a breath of fresh air from that for all types of collectors. Whether you're a binder collector, you're a graded card collector, or you're a sealed collector, this channel is for you. It's for the people that have been in this hobby since the beginning. It's the people that are just getting back into it, that are looking to make this a lifelong hobby, because to me, it is. That's it for today's video, everyone. I hope you learned something, and remember that Pokemon card collecting is just as much about passion as it is about strategy. The Value Leap is a great way to grow your collection and stay budget friendly. If you found this video helpful, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. And until next time, happy collecting, y'all. Peace.